Hello, I'm Tara Ruckman.
And I'm Stephanie Howe, and we are Control the Chaos EDU. Are you burnout? Are you feeling frustrated or overwhelmed?
Or maybe it's the opposite, and you're a go-getter and want to level up. Then it's time to dive in with real talk and solution-focused conversations.
Welcome to today's Control the Chaos conversations. We have a special guest, and I have just adored this guest so much. Catherine has been one of my innovator mentees, and her project is probably one of the coolest projects I've ever seen and been able to kind of watch and witness behind the scenes with her. She has students creating ownership by giving over control. And she has done this by creating a T-Rex. And I love their name. I love their logo. But Tara, have you ever given up control and given it over to the students?
Yeah, and that's a really, really hard thing to do. So I am so 100% invested in this episode because this is a hard thing for many of our teachers to do. I'm sure over time, as education has started to change, we've started to give over more and more control, and that's difficult. I mean, it's difficult for me in my house too. I don't know if it's difficult for you, but all around giving up control in your life is difficult. So I'm excited to hear from Catherine and how she has implemented this project.
Yeah, and I think for me in my household, like AJ, he's 2. He's very strong-willed, very, very independent, even though he's only 2. And he was trying to do the laundry, and I was like, "It's not how we do it. Like, come on, AJ." You know, like I'm just a controlling person. I think that's how a lot of educators are. But I started to realize I need to teach him how to do it, even if he is just 2, because he's willing. But it does take up some of that control. So let's go ahead and bring on today's guest where we can hear more from Catherine and kind of what her students are doing in this T-Rex club. So Catherine, tell us a little bit more about yourself and about the T-Rexes.
All right, so hi everyone. I'm Catherine Lim. Actually, I'm on the other side of the world from Stephanie and Tara, right? So I'm coming from Indonesia and from Jakarta, right? So yeah, I'm really glad to be the mentee in the innovator program from Google and a mentee of Stephanie, right? So I found her, and I think that's my greatest blessing to have her as my mentor, right. So well, about T-Rex, I think I'd like to go back a little bit before I actually found Stephanie. So in my innovator program, if I can share a little bit. So I started off with what I have in my mind is I need to do something that deals with students, right? So students empowerment. How can I empower my students more, right? And definitely, initially, I started off with project-based learning. But along the way, when I was doing the academy, so I found that, oh no, I think that's not where my heart is, right? And then I was talking to some of my students, and they were like, oh, okay, Miss Cat, I think we would love to share our knowledge, right? So that's the aha moment, I think this is really something good, and I'd like the kids to. So I started sharing with them and asking them a lot of questions. And apparently, I think they're very interested in sharing their knowledge to teachers because they felt that we in Indonesia, I think we're not as advanced as you are in the United States, right, or any other part of the world, but we are getting there, and the students are really excited about digital literacy that they would like to share with teachers. Yes, so that's the initial part of why I started T-Rex. So T-Rex actually, it comes from the word technology rising experts, right? So yeah, so I think they are really experts in this era, where technology is here, and I think with these students, I think they are really the experts compared to the teachers, compared to myself, probably, right? Yeah.
So
Yes.
what age did you start?
Oh, okay. For the T-Rexes, Tara? Yeah, so T-Rexes, they are from 7 years old until 12. 7 to 12. Yeah.
And one of the stories that I love is when the students created this logo. And the logo, I think it was red at first. And then another version came on and it was green. And I just remember the ownership that they took over about this simple logo that they wanted to use, and how the kids all of a sudden decided it was different levels. Like, okay, level one is for this grade students if you're beginning. And then if you go on and you do it the next year, you get the green logo. But just having the kids come up with that added some really good ownership, and that it empowered them to recruit and get other people on board as well.
Right. Yeah. So I think we started with what we'll call the chaos in our school, right? So when we started, like I gave the idea, okay, let's I would like to make a group of little trainers, right? Then they say, oh, cool, they were so excited, and straight away all of them jumping in and said, oh, Miss, can we let's make our logo first. Oh, no, let's find a name first, for our group, right? So I think I had Stephanie along the way. Oh, what about this? What about that? What are the names that is suitable for the children, right? And also I shared with Stephanie also the logo, right, that we made together. And we said, the kids, Stephanie said, they're really excited between red and green, right? So which one do they want to start off with, So eventually we actually put it on Twitter also, right? And the votes went to red, I think, right? But the kids, I wouldn't want to disappoint the kids, because most of the kids here, they love green. But then they said, oh, okay, it's such a waste then. Oh, okay, why not we make the juniors T-Rexes green, and then when they go to the next year, right, and they become senior, then they'll use the red logo. Oh, okay, that's awesome. Now they're even thinking of another color because they would want the high schoolers to join also, So I said, okay, that's great. Let's think of another color. Then they said, okay, let's ask Miss Stephanie, because the kids really, really adore Stephanie. When we talk about Stephanie, they're just all there. Yeah.
And I just adored them too. They were a fun group of students. And I remember I did a training for, it was like, I think it was teachers and students that were kind of in the training. And I just remember the chat was like blowing up, that when we got to the emoji part, everybody was just like, had their emojis ready. The kids were so excited and so engaged. That it was just a fun training. So what steps did you take to create the T-Rexes? Like, take us back to the beginning. What did it look like? And what maybe challenges and successes did you have?
All right. So, in developing, actually in creating the group of T-Rexes, I think initially I was like, okay, which group of students should I choose? So I went and had a good chat with the ICT teacher here. So I said, okay, who's good in IT, who's interested? But I did roll out a survey also to the kids who's interested actually in joining, right? So that's sort of everything. And we started, I wanted to have it started a small number of students, right? So we started with 12, right? Which covers from 7 years old until 12. So yeah, they came to me. So we had our first session. Challenges were there because of the age difference, right? So 7 years old with 12 definitely is different. So eventually we did divide the children, the 6 children, into 2 groups where I did a lot of training sessions for them, all right, and what to do and how to do it, all right. So different language is used between the 2 groups of students. So I had the 7-year-olds and until the 10-year-olds, and then I have the 11 and 12-year-olds together, right? So challenges were there because also because the knowledge that they have in technology is not equal, right? So yeah, but I'm happy because the older kids are like they're teaching the younger kids, oh, okay, this is what you should do. So eventually we did regroup them, right? We did regroup them into groupings where they actually had their very own groupings, and they did their little sharings in the group. Right, so that's where I see that, oh, okay, this is running better and this is working much better because they're actually teaching each other what the younger ones do not know. And some younger ones, they're really good, say, at coding, so they will be teaching the older kids, oh, this is the way you should do it, right? So I think with the blending of different ages, I think that somehow covers up what the kids do not know of what technology is and what they're actually doing.
So when you look at the grouping, was it a more of a ability grouping or just a blended group?
It's more of the age grouping and the ability. Yeah, so of the ability, well, in terms of ability, I think they are quite different, but what I want them is actually the collaboration. That's the thing that I want. So they eventually actually, when they did the first trial of training for the teachers and students, they actually collaborated. So one older kid with a younger one, right? Yeah, so they did really well on that. Yeah, where they actually practiced together, and yeah, so one bigger kid and the other is a younger age student.
And then how did your students respond to this responsibility? I know when they got asked, I mean, there were some big responsibilities that they had to take on. They got invited to talk to the local GEG. They had to talk to teachers. They had to, communicate all of these different ways. And that's sometimes a huge responsibility for kids. So how did the students respond, and how did it go?
Yeah, so I think they were. I would say they were definitely way above excited. All right, and they're like they're pretty much very responsible, I would say, because they would be like, they were the one who said, okay, miss, this is what we should do. So they make a timeline, all right, and what to say. They even made the script, of what to say and how to address, as simple as how to address the people, because they were also invited to the government sector here in Indonesia, in Jakarta. So they were asked to speak and share about T-Rex and what they do, and how do they feel like talking to teachers. So initially they had this fear because, oh, will the teachers be angry if we do not know? What should we do if we do not know how to answer the question? But well, we did some simulations for that, and I think, yeah, they are really I would say way above my expectations. All right, they're doing really great, and they're even now, I mean, during the holidays, they're even planning already to give the second batch of T-Rex in school, because a lot of students say, oh, I want to be T-Rex, I want to be in T-Rex, right? And how how can I be in T-Rex, right? So they are planning all the criteria of how to be in T-Rex, and what is expected. So they are doing all these great jobs without me having to really go and make intervention in it. So they will come up with all the plans, and yeah. So I think the older kids, and the younger kids too, they do give their ideas towards this. So I think, yeah, they're really great.
How often do you meet with the students? And how often do the students usually per week work to create T-Rex when you are putting it all together?
Okay, so we have our weekly meetings, right? And during that meetings, we started off with design thinking, all right? That's something that I got in my Innovator Academy, so I think that is good. So I shared with Stephanie. I asked, oh, okay, do you think this will be good for the kids? Because I think to have something as big as T-Rex, they would have to know what is design thinking and how to go about it. So so I shared a very quick run through of design thinking with the kids, and they did all the interview, so they know what is empathy, right? So they interviewed the teachers in school and see the needs, right? And so we have our weekly meetings with different topics to be covered. So from technology until psychology, right? So so those are the topics, and then they do quite a number of simulations with the teachers in school and the neighboring schools in Jakarta, right? Just so because they need to practice, right? So we need to give them the teachers there, and they did quite a number of times already. And the last one they did was with GEG APAC. Yeah, that was the last one.
Yeah, I love just seeing the students. And I know in my own classroom, I was worried about what if the kids don't follow through, or like we sign up to present at this conference and it just flops. It is a fear in that kind of thinking, like, what if they don't get it ready? What if I have to do all the work, like all of that kind of stuff. But really, when you do give up that ownership and you put it on your students, they usually go over your expectations. They will go home, they will work on it, whenever they have free moments. And I think that's just what is so exciting when you do give up this responsibility. But it is a huge scare. Like, what if they don't follow through? What if they fall flat on their face? What if this happens? And all of those what ifs kind of keep adding up. And so I think for me, just in my own classroom, when I've given different job responsibilities or small roles, nothing like the T-Rexes, where they're speaking to the government, but just those small things, students usually go over and above. And it's just exciting to see them in that ownership role. So looking back, what would you maybe do differently or keep on doing with these T-Rexes?
Okay, so what would I do differently? Probably if I know that, if only I had known that the kids are so responsible, then then I think I would have started this a long time ago, or I would have actually have more students, not only the 12 that I have right now, right? And and the teachers were also very excited, and they said, okay, well, we should have done this long time ago, So and moving forward, I think little trainers should not, or I would say, empowering of students should not stop only at age 12, but we should go all the way from grade 1 all the way until grade 12. That's the dream of the pioneer T-Rexes, right? So they want to see grade 1 students all across until grade 12, doing it at different levels of difficulty, definitely, and different topics.
How has the parent buy-in been with the T-Rexes? Have they been supportive through the process? And what has that looked like for you since the start?
All right. Yeah. So when I first started, apart from talking to the children, and then we actually make our own group, all right, our Google chat group, where the parents are in it, and I started to actually, I did a presentation of what T-Rex is, or initially what Innovator Program is, all right, and why I'm doing it, what is the purpose, all right, and my vision towards T-Rex and the mission of it. And after that, the parents were very supportive. They were very happy, definitely, because out of the almost 400 students that I have, only 12 of them have been chosen, right? So they feel proud of their kids, and they really supported. They even help us with, say, making t-shirts for the T-Rexes, right? Yeah, so yeah, we have our very own t-shirts. They shared one that they're going to share with Stephanie. They said, this is for Miss Stephanie, you know. I said, oh, okay, this is great, yeah. So yeah, they are very supportive, and they even said that this is a good gesture from me, and I think they would like this to continue until they're grade 12, or until even after that, yeah. But as of the moment, they would like to see this running, not only in the elementary, but they want it across the board until grade 12.
That's so exciting. Do you have a vision for your older kids, or are you just completely allowing all the students to take it over and let them run with their own vision?
Yeah, I think to that I'll give everything over to the students, even though I have my own vision. But I think, you know, when we let go of the control, you know, and give it to students, I think they will do a marvelous job, and they will come up with things that we have never thought before, you know. So I'm very, very open to the thoughts of inputs from the students and what they would like to do and how they're going to do it. Right? Yeah. So I think I'll leave it to the kids, because they will be old enough, right? They're older, right? So if I see that the younger kids can do it, I think the older kids would want something which is in their very own way and, you know, suitable for their age. Yeah. So let them do it.
If someone is ready to implement this and get it started in their school, what would be your best advice to them as they get started?
All right, so if anyone were to start this in their school, then I would say trust your students, all right? Trust your students, give them the chance, and let the ball rolling, because you will see great things happening. You will see, because I do feel that when we trust students, I think they would, you know, take that ownership and do their best, right? Yes, so I'll be asking all teachers all over the world, okay, to start your very own T-Rex in your school, okay? Yeah.
I love that call to action of start something, even if it's not, you know, a tech club. Maybe it's just classroom jobs. Maybe it is giving over your morning meetings and having students lead it. Or maybe you are ready to go on and do a T-Rex club, just like Catherine. So whatever your next step is, I think that's what you need to do. So Catherine, how can people connect with you?
Sorry, I couldn't really get you, Stephanie.
How can people connect with you if they want to start a T-Rex club, or maybe create some type of ownership, or just get to know you a little bit more? What is the best way to connect with you?
Okay, so the best way to get to me will be through Twitter. Okay, I'm available in Twitter at Kathleen511. That's my Twitter account. So yeah, I'll be very happy to see you there, all right? And we can talk further. And, you know, probably I have other ideas, you know, from teachers and everyone watching. and hearing this podcast all over the world. All right.
Thank you so much for coming today. We appreciate it. I loved hearing about your project. Maybe Stephanie will be starting a T-Rex here at some point, huh, Stephanie? Maybe?
Yeah, I had one before COVID. It was called the Chrome Squad. When I was just with the middle schools, and then COVID hit. But I do need to start it up because the stories that Catherine has shared with me and just that student empowerment, I really miss. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much again for coming. We loved it. I can't wait to hear more about it as it continues to develop up through the grade levels. And until next time, control the chaos.
Thanks for listening to Control the Chaos EDU. Check out the description for show notes.
We look forward to connecting with you on social media. Subscribe to the weekly podcast so you never miss an episode. Control the chaos. Until next time.